pretty small window, and everyone's sprinting the floor. Blake fires again. Whoa! He is red hot now. Sears splits the defenders and gets all the way to the right for his first field goal of the game. It has a little bit of a Peach Jam feel to it right now. And even the weather outside. Yeah, that's not what Todd Golden wants. He wants his guys locking defensively. They're scoring at a high clip. They've got to tighten this thing up against Alabama on the defensive end. Richard out to Poland. Poland is pulled. After a slow start, Florida's really turned it up. Sears reverses it in. Alabama turning it into a one-on-one game, spreading the floor, opening it up in 5 out, quickly in transition, allowing Sears and Estrada to make it a one-on-one game instead of a 5-on-5. Back clock is off. Bama has made 5 of its last 7. Florida, 9 of its last 11. Remember, Florida, one of the best offensive rebound teams in the country. Quick enough to allow yourself to clean up the miss. Gotta go now. Here's Florida. Boston got it back, taken away by Walters, and that's how the half will end. .34-35 lead for the Gators at the break. What an effort.
Yo, dog. What's up, Gray J? How you doing, baby?
Not Golden's team finishes on a after a slow start.
Dude, I'm kicking ass, kicking ass. I stream at like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I've been doing so now for more than 2.5 years. I have more data online than any person in global history. Currently, oh, you know all about it, man. Oh, wonderful. Well, as you know, Twitter just launched Video Spaces, which is a game changer. Oh, interesting. So you can't see anything? Right, so people are having some issues. I mean, it has only been launched in the last week, but it is improving. Do you have iOS or Android? I bet you have iOS and a PC. Do you have an iOS device? Apple? You have an Android? Oh, I understand. So you have an Android and a PC right now, right? And you don't have an Apple. Okay, so right now, video only works for Apple users. It's going to work for Android users soon, they say. Absolutely. Okay, so do you know about Harry Potter, Obama Sonic 10 Inu? It's a cryptocurrency. It's 6x in the last week. Oh, yeah, okay. So you know I'm in the Telegram 24/7, right? That's how I know you. Okay, that's how I know you. You have to understand, I see like dozens of people a day, and it's hard for me always to associate them, especially when they have different usernames. Right. So I see like a oh, then that good one. So you have like a mutant ape or something? Or is it a board ape yacht club?
Second or third round of the tournament. Keep an eye. Speaking of Carolina hosting Notre Dame, will they get caught looking ahead? They'll do what they're doing. Find out after this.
Oh, very cool.
This halftime report is presented by Geek. There's only one.
Well, that's quite neat.
Here's the thing. No one can reach the pinnacle of success on their own. You've got to find a difference maker, and I've got mine. With every team I coach, I bring back it. They'll talk to the staff, they'll talk to the players, build up their mental game. Then I can focus on building a winning team.
I like it. Now I see it up close. So you've got your ape with its 3D glasses and a bucket hat, and it's basically based on a keyboard with the ears coming out of it, and like a little, there's like a little string or something. It's a mouse. I was gonna say, is that a mouse? Cool. Very cool. It's good. I see that now. It's tight.
The most important part of your business are all the people who come through your doors every day.
What's he doing now?
Cintas can help you take care of them. The dedicated Cintas service reps will provide the essential products and support. Help keep your employees performing at their best. So your business can improve. Just so that. Get ready for the workday. There's one thing that never changes. The anticipation.
I understand that.
Hi, I'm John Fiorentino, inventor of the Moon Pod. The breakthrough in therapeutic relaxation is changing the way the world sits. Moon Pod's zero gravity technology helps to eliminate
It's cool.
stress, and anxiety by responding to every inch of your body. And now, with the new pressure backrest and lunar regular, Moon Pod will take you to relaxation levels that you've never felt before.
Well, there you go. Then it fits you very well.
Moonpod.com. I'm coming in.
We're watching basketball. Football is over until the fall. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's a spring league that we'll probably watch, but like no Americans watch it. It's a bit. No, college football is in the fall, and that's a really big one. There's a new league. It's called the USFL or USL or something like that. UFL. Oh, it's called the UFL, United Football League. That is going to be like, yeah, they haven't ever done it. So it's run by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Yeah, so he used to play football at. Do you mean NFL Europe? So NFL Europe was a thing for like 20 years, and oh, okay, no. Yeah, so he used to play football when he was in college, and then he got into wrestling and everything, and then he became an actor, and now he has enough money to start his own football league. So there used to be a football league called the XFL. You got it. Okay, try it now. Excellent. So there used to be a football league in the United States called the XFL, and it was a little bit more extreme. It stood for Extreme Football League, and it was more extreme than the NFL. You know, the NFL is a violent game. The XFL pushed the limits like what? They had like cameras on the players. They had players with microphones. Like these were things that the NFL wasn't doing that eventually the NFL would do. And they tried to make it like that, yeah. And they had like cheerleaders who were like also what were they? They were like more like they had like cheerleaders in bikinis in like a hot tub as opposed to like normal cheerleaders. And they had like exactly. And that was another thing. Las Vegas, it was their first professional team. Las Vegas, they were the Las Vegas Raiders, Las Vegas Bandits. And they were like that was the first team Las Vegas ever had that was a professional team. So it was always seen as kind of an outlaw, kind of, or maybe they were the Vegas Outlaws, something like that. So it was seen as an outlaw league. Anyway, it folded. It was not successful because the NFL is just so powerful in the United States. So they've had other leagues that have tried to become sustainable, especially because the NFL from the fall to the winter dominates all the ratings. Of the 100 most watched events in the United States in a given year, 90 of them will be football. So that means exactly it's the most watched event in global history, something like that. And so when you take the amount of people who dedicate themselves to the sport and the fact that it only runs half of the year, there is a really big opportunity for the other half of the year in the spring. So Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has merged two football leagues, the XFL, that one extreme football league, and he also merged it with what was called the USFL, which was like a minor league football league. So there are two football leagues that have combined now, and it's supposed to be a little bit more extreme, but nothing like extremely violent. But it is supposed to give the NFL eventually a run for its money. Yeah, I mean, like right now, an NFL game is like 4 hours long, but really when it comes to the amount of action that they show, of the amount of players that are moving, it's only about 5 minutes worth of action. So they're trying to do more with that. Right. Right, but I mean that's a lot more action, as you know. Exactly. And so what they plan on doing is giving the NFL a rival. And so if you're asking, are we watching football? No. We may start watching that league if it's exciting. Do you know what UFC is? Yeah, UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Yeah. It's an octagon. Yeah. Yep. Oh, so we're gonna watch that one this weekend. They have a big fight, and we're gonna watch it this weekend. Well, so yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can, because we're also watching it in the Telegram. Oh yeah, definitely. We live stream the Super Bowl in there. We live stream a lot. We live stream a lot.
I know I can't do it on my own. So I surround myself with expertise that matters most.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a thought.
No.
I haven't. No. I would imagine that I would as well, but it just escaped me. So where do I go? How do I play it? Okay. Okay. Did you watch Morlight's fight? It was. You should have. Agreed. Did you see that meme of when there's a meme that someone made of Morlight when he punches BitBoy? BitBoy has all these coins that fall out of him, like in Sonic. It's very cool. It is absolutely brilliant. And we streamed the fight in the Telegram, and we also streamed ETH Denver in the Telegram. That's okay. Do you know what Rumble is? ETH Denver party? Yeah, the fight definitely. The fight is on Karate. It's called Karate Combat. If you go on Karate Combat, just type in Morelight, BitBoy, Karate Combat, and it'll be the first thing that shows up. And yeah, it'll be there too, but you probably have to search for it. I'm saying if you want it right away, it's on YouTube under Karate Combat, and it's more like BitBoy. It'll be like the first fight. It was one of their main events. Yeah, and it's only like 4 minutes. It's just 2 rounds of 2 minutes. Oh no, actually it's 6 minutes because it goes to extra time. So absolutely, and the thing is that people don't realize is they were at elevation. So the 7,000 feet. 7,000. They're at the top of a mountain. Exactly. So you know what Rumble is, right? Excellent. So before, I would stream on 5 different YouTubes at a given time. But now Rumble has this feature known as Rumble Studio, where you can stream on simultaneous platforms, and you can do it for free. And all other, like basically any other service charges for this. So right now, instead of just being live on YouTube on 5 different streams in 360 degrees, I'm live on 5 different YouTubes, 5 different Instagrams, 5 different Twitters, 5 different Twitches, 5 different Rumbles, 5 different Kicks, 5 different YouTubes, 5 different D-Lives. If you're like, what's D-Live, which is another streaming site. 5 different Tovos, that's another streaming site, and then 5 different YouNows, which not YouTube. I'm also live on 5 different YouTubes, 5 different YouNows. So basically, I've increased the amount of streams that I have from basically anywhere between like 10 and 12 to 45. And that's just 45 that come from the Chromebooks. I'm also live right now on Twitter on another 2 different streams. I'm live on I have moved, but it is from the same setup. And I've got also 2 additional Instagrams and 2 Twitters and 2 Telegrams. So right now we're streaming on 51 different platforms right now, which has got to be unprecedented. That's got to be the most anybody's ever done. Maybe somebody's done more. But
And a missed opportunity for the Gators, and then the foul will be the third on Micah Hanlock. The defense scored a
I do it for world peace. I don't want people to have war anymore. I don't want people to have war anymore. I do it for world peace. So I want people to have a platform to be able to discuss world peace.
7 steals in this game for the Florida defense, and a bounce inside to Nelson who draws the whistle.
So what's my motivation? I think it's very interesting. Sure. So I think it's very interesting that someone would document their life, and I think that humanity can learn a lot from all of the data of one person's life. And so the more data that we have on a person, the more that we can study about ourselves. And I think it's very important to be able to study humans from a really in-depth standpoint, and I can be an example to that. And I've never done anything in my life that is so bad that I can't have it publicized. So because of that, I feel as if I'm a good candidate to be able to stream my life. And I've been doing it now for almost 3 years. That
That was an held to field of 25 9 times this season. That was a goal for South Bend. No shot, fair away, pulling up one foot's gonna have to. So good. If you're guarding this league and you can't play through contact,
that's true, but I know that anything that I've ever done to anyone, they've either forgiven me or they had no reason to. I mean, I've never cheated on anybody. I don't cheat on my taxes. I only had really good relationships with women. I have good friends. I have a good relationship with my family, and I've never been fired from a job. So, like, those are all really good things from a character standpoint. No, thank God. In fact, all of my, they've all ended amicably, and I've been friends with just about all of them, and I wish them all the best. And some of them have gotten married and been, I know the first, I have become friends with some of the people with whom I've had relationships, and that's a really good thing to do. That you can move on from that and continue to have professional and personal relationships.
When you're playing now at Alabama, you cannot give these guards an angle because they will fixate and all of their left-handed. They are also very good clever going right and finishing with the left, as an example by Estrada. So here's Zion pulling up the free throw line. That's his 98th career start tonight. After a big start, waiting to check in for Bama. One more time up to Poland, Marty.
Let them. I have nothing to fear.
I talked to Zion Cohen at shoot around today, and he told me playing against a great player like Mark Sears, and he stopped and said, he's a great player. It only makes me lock in more. He said, and that's really important for us. We have to get back on track, send these seniors out properly. This is a sold-out game, and there's so much.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Where it really gets touchy is when you're streaming 24 hours a day, and there's no privacy. But
Six active players in college basketball. Sears is getting going now.
yeah, and then when I go to the bathroom, on camera, and I bring a camera with me. Yes, I do. It's all on Instagram or Twitter. You can watch me go number 1 and number 2. I used to just literally pee. Well, so right now they don't, but I think 50 or 100 years from now, it'll be fascinating to people to study from a scientific standpoint. They're already going to be studying me perhaps biologically, so of course they're going to want to know what my waste schedule is. If they're studying my eating habits, my waste schedule has got to be very interesting to them. I'm sure they have too, and wondering what would cause a person to do this.
Sears puts fouls on the defense as well as any guard in this league. And if he gets going downhill, this Alabama offense really
Well,
starts clicking.
I can tell you that this is more data than any person has ever uploaded to the internet in the history of the internet. Almost 3. Every day, 24/7. Exactly. As I say, we've seen, and this goes back to the pandemic, we've seen the death of a queen, the birth of AI, the coronation of a king, and everything between. I mean, I remember being on camera when I heard Elizabeth II died. I've been on camera for multiple earthquakes. Wow.
The elbow caught him right on the chin. Now watch for the pass. It leads Samuel right to the right side of the glass. The pass is what he scores before he catches it because of where the ball is placed. Man, that's a shot, right?
I agree. I think it's fascinating.
I don't disagree with what you're doing. I think it's great. I'm just, it's something you
Few people have, or few people could, and no one has thus far. If you're really this honest with the world, then somebody would have done it by now. You're right. You're right. But this will be the future. In the future, people will literally have a camera on them all the time, in their bedroom, when they go to the bathroom, everywhere. So I'm just basically the start of what would be considered Skynet. Yeah. Well, you'll have that too. You'll be chipped as well, but then there'll also be a camera. Perhaps that as well, like in the room. But there will also be cameras everywhere, watching your every movement, tracking your facial expressions, checking if you're thinking about something like crime or perhaps like pre-crime. Like what is, like, you know, like if you are more apt, you know how it works exactly. So yeah, it's quite scary.
Occasional heartburn will set you free. Get fast relief with Tums Plus heartburn plus sleep support. Lower feedback and fall asleep faster. This is your invitation to experience the versatility of the Lexus line of SUVs. And some of the best offers of the year on select models. Invitations and Lexus sales event.
I've seen that as well. I've also seen birds attack them. Have you ever seen the birds? Yeah. So you're right. It's crazy. And they'll die. They'll die trying to kill the thing. Here's another thing I was reading about as well, and actually I was just listening to this. I heard it on a podcast. Like back, and I can say this is pretty true. Back in, like when you were a kid, if you were to go on a long drive and you were to look at the front of your car, there would be like dozens of bugs, splattered bugs, all over the front of your car. But now, it's like you might see one or two, because insecticides and pesticides are so much more common. And then additionally, because we've killed off so many of the insects, another thing you don't see as many of are birds. There used to be a lot more birds. But basically, since there aren't as many insects, there aren't as many birds, and then there are also, as you know, there aren't as many bees.
Florida scored on 7 of its 8 possessions this half. What a weapon Tommy Samuel has been for the Florida team. Meanwhile, Gators really shut that battle from behind the arc, as you mentioned in the first matchup. They held Alabama to 8 of 32 from deep. That was the game that ended up going overtime.
Yeah.
And they won it 2 weeks ago. Shot clock is late again. Walters turned in the corner. Working on Samuel, got the block. Shot clock is 5. That one hit the rim. Nelson with the foul. Well for Nelson. Talk about Alabama need to get it going offensively. Florida has done whatever.
Oh, that's baller.
In the second half on the offense. Samuel deep. Final tip now, and then Condon fought in that ball and got wasted for the foul.
Very cool.
Nelson ended up on the ground.
Yes, they did.
Does the
That's
same.
baller.
He is in disbelief. Well, I think Todd Golden saw it, and his guy got elbowed, and the guy that hit the elbow
Right.
and then fell to the ground. Todd Golden said, I want you to look at this. There's the tap that doesn't go. Nelson, before he
Okay,
secured
so
the ball,
here I
Nelson
can tell
got his
you,
elbow
at least
out.
in the United States, why this happens. Did you have any bank holidays recently?
The previous play is under review. Fire is out. Condon, who got whistled for a foul in the previous matchup.
Oh, yeah.
Mohamed Rodney
So,
delivered a forearm shiver
So-
to get a suspension for the
so-
Baylor Center later, but wasn't called or caught during the
right, right. So what happens, at least in the United States? So, like on Thanksgiving,
This is what happened.
you want your mommy and daddy at your Thanksgiving dinner. So if you ever look on holidays, they always make sure those pilots are at home with their families. So nobody asks, where is dad? Like, we're not at war. What's so important that he has to be gone on Thanksgiving? You know what I mean? Like, so that families don't ask. Yeah, no, I'm talking about like Air Force pilots, the people spraying this stuff. So normally, they work like a regular schedule, and so they start really early in the morning and start spraying this stuff, like even before sunrise sometimes, so that this. Right, me too. I have as well, and so that when you awake in the morning, you're just like, oh, it's overcast. But in reality, it was a clear night, but they just covered the skies overnight. And at least in the United States, though, they take breaks around like Thanksgiving and the 4th of July and like Memorial Day and Labor Day. And it's like, okay. Exactly. And on top of that, those are the biggest holidays for people to be with their families. So those weekends are usually pretty bright and shiny, so nobody asks any questions. When you're with your family, it's like, wow, look what a beautiful day is. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's amazing. Isn't that brilliant? Exactly. And a lot of times as well, like if you, oh, it definitely is. And I mean, they used to not even like recognize these programs exist, they mock you and everything. And now they have like documentaries that basically talk about cloud seeding, and that's what this is. But it's different. It's different than normal cloud seeding. Like, normal cloud seeding, right? Exactly. Normal cloud seeding is done to produce precipitation in an arid climate, so that you have precipitation that provides for a lush environment. In this case, they do this once a week in Dubai. They literally they seed the sky and allow it to rain once a week. Yeah, and it just cleans off everything. And they can, yeah, and I think in Riyadh. So at least in the United States, though, it doesn't cause rain. it just causes what I call a permanent cloud. Other people call it that too. It's just this permanent cloud that doesn't allow people to get any vitamin D, and also that stuff makes this barium in the air and aluminum. It makes people docile, so they're just like zombies.
What a future front line is rugged, skilled group that Todd Golden has to work with. Not in 6'11", freshman first Australia. Fouls piling up for Bama. Now it's another on Nelson, which is his third. And a moment ago, Pringle committed his fourth person.
Exactly. And then
Pringle on the bench.
it's all great.
Diabate sitting next to him. He has really had a hard time finding his rhythm to get those shots up. This is off on full.
Well, and and the other thing that occurs with that is that barium and that aluminum gets on your plants, and unless they're like made for that, it kills them. So it's much more difficult to grow things. Like I've actually seen, like if you look at oak trees that are in a place that gets sprayed versus oak trees in the wild, it's like they're brittle and they're like not as strong. And
Charles will take a look at it. I want to make sure that an attempt to raise the rim, they reset it. I thought it clearly hit the rim. But that's the issue with the leadership here. Yeah, hit the backboard and glances off the rim. Think about this, the SEC, 5 of the top 17 teams in the AP top 25 are from this league. 5 of the top 17 teams in the country, so there are no nights off. Tornadoes move.
wow. And bamboo is so hardy. It's the fastest growing organism on earth.
Boy, this was one you knew coming in was going to be very difficult. This league is taking a backseat to nobody this year. Those are 5 teams, the top 17 right now. All 5 of those teams are good enough to get to the Sweet 16. If not, beautiful save in the baseline from Howard. It ends up in Bama's hands.
Right. Exactly. And so what happens as well is if you go, at least in the United States, in the more mountainous regions where they have done this, the barium doesn't get as diluted as it does closer to sea level, and it actually becomes toxic up there because it's in such a high amount because it hasn't had that much time to be diluted from when it's being sprayed to when it's at the mountaintop. Exactly. Normally it diffuses through the air, but when it's at a mountaintop, it just kind of sits there and then can make the things around it toxic. So like all the water, exactly. So all that like fresh glacier water has all this aluminum and barium in it that is unnatural.
Collided underneath, and it'll put Alex Condon at the free throw line and send Nelson to the bench.
Right, you'd have to like reverse osmosis essentially.
Condon 69% from the free throw line on the season.
Right, that's exactly right. I mean, the only place that you can go, really where they like to escape this, are places that don't have major military bases near them, but now with the United States, that's everywhere. And but like I've seen, like places in the Pacific Islands, they say they have like 360 days of sunshine all the time, and like then all of a sudden they'll get this weird like group of airplanes that come over, and then for like months they won't have any sunshine in the middle of the Pacific. Like normally when they would only have sunshine, and they can literally see these things painting their skies, and it's like there's nothing we can do about it.
Aggressive, forceful driver. He takes the hit right there, and the whistle blows. You stop and leave it alone. You appreciate Condon running with hustle and effort, but the whistle is blown right there. Condon had to hear it. got to leave that thing alone, leave the rim alone. Ball's got to get through the net.
People will be mocked if they bring up
Consider
that issue.
63, 48, 43.
I can't believe that, because it's been reported a few times now on TV.
What's my safe story? I see inspiration right through my glass. So when my windshield cracked, I chose Safeway. They replaced the glass and recalibrated my safety system. That service I can trust. What is an athlete?
Exactly.
A healthy desire to do as much as you can with your life,
The-
for as long as you can.
Right. The very interesting thing,
Gatorade has lower sugar,
if you ever watch the weather reports, sometimes I wouldn't say a long time ago, but like maybe a decade ago, they would have some meteorologists who would be like, yeah, see this? This is all coming from such and such Air Force Base. This isn't normal stuff that we would see on Doppler radar. Because normally when they show, and so you know what I mean, like basically they would have a completely perfectly clean Doppler radar, and then the meteorologist would be like, yeah, see all this stuff that's like just came out of nowhere? That's coming from the Air Force Base. Don't worry about that. That's just showing up on radar. But it's like, oh, wait, those are like literally clouds. Right, and now when they have, at least in the United States, whenever they have a meteorologist or a weather reporter who talks about this, they are done. They don't show up on television the next day. They literally lose their job. So none of them talk about it anymore.
Here's the thing. No one can reach the pinnacle of success on their own. You gotta find the difference maker. And I've got mine. With every team I coach, I bring Bobby. He'll talk to the staff, he'll talk to the players, build up their mental.
It's really interesting.
And I can focus on building a winning team. I know I can't do it on my own. So I surround myself with expertise where it matters most.
Let's take it back to Saturday night. In Tuscaloosa, the play of the game, the key to Tennessee turnaround to Nashak with a corner three. And great vision hustling back on defense. He's got the takeaways with Ty Ziegler.
You know, I've been kind of distracted in a good way speaking with you, so I haven't really been paying attention. I'm gonna check it. I'll check it out right now. And just one moment. Can you repeat that? I'm on my phone. Yes, I can, because I'm streaming it on a projector behind my head. Absolutely. Do you go into Telegram? When's the last time you were in the Telegram? You're in the Telegram right now? Our Telegram? No. I'm sorry. The BC. When was the last time you were in the BC? Oh, okay. So in January. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Well, I'm addicted to the Telegram as well. It's a fun place. I'm on 2 different VCs in the same time, both in Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 email. Just in case one of my cameras ever goes down, I've got a backup. So we've got Tempura in there who's watching me, and he watches me 24/7.
Too strong. And a takeaway for Ebony.
Yep.
There's nothing tough
Correct.
about that pass by Alabama. Just a lazy, careless,
I agree.
non-play.
And not only that, but then on 5 different YouTubes, 5 different YouNows, 5 different DLive, 5 different D streams, 5 different Rumbles, 5 different YouTubes, 5 different Twitters, 5 different Instagrams, 5 different Twitches. Basically, like, it's all over the internet. Well, you know, when you're great question. Where you can just like talk like a video conference. Yes.
That's an athletic kid he had 10 offensive rebounds almost.
Right. So right now, if you want to have two-way communication, Instagram allows that, and Telegram allows that. Twitter allows that. YouTube allows it with one other person, but they have to have a channel going at the same time. And then the other ones generally do not have that. Please do. Did you just join? I see it. Yeah.
Sears down the paint and one.
So you can see the basketball game?
Keep Alabama this line. This middle third drive. What's that mean?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not too worried about that in the Telegram. At least on the Twitter, it's higher up.
Good job of making this kid work. He is going to his right. Just sometimes guys make great plays. Got him on the backside. Good goal.
That's right.
He's scoring 24 points a game against quad opponents.
I agree, and hopefully within the next year or two, they'll have that capability where you could be on YouTube and talk to someone on Twitter, and it's seamless. That would be very cool. Tempora's usually pretty quiet, but they might speak up. Tempora, can you hear my man over here?
Florida gets a long rebound. Blake steps through.
We'll give this a second. Tempora, can you hear us? If you can, shout out to you. Say hello if you can. But once, that could be. So Elon Musk has announced that I've seen some things from designers at mock-up. They're going to allow perhaps for 15 speakers in Twitter Spaces, and also some other features like Android's going to be able to share video, desktop will be able to share video, and all that should come very soon. Yeah, currently you can have 10, and they're only audio. What they're saying is you'll be able to have 15 videos. That's super cool. Oh, that's a game changer. When you can have total strangers talk with each other using video on Twitter, that's a game changer. Well, so they have another feature. Well, you don't have to show your face, but they have another feature on some other apps where it's an avatar. So basically, you can just pick like a cartoon, and you can move around. Exactly, but there's filters, but then there are avatars where literally it looks like you're like a furry, where it's like you have like a huge cartoon head, and it just follows your movements.
What a really good find by Riley Kugel. And Pullen finds that good side. The spacing of Florida in the transition game has been really, really good. Tom, that's a good example of it. As Kugel drives,
I have it. Is it good?
Jersey is to swung the ball. McDougal toughened up and that opened up. Yeah, 4 red jerseys. Finds pulling on the backside. Man, Florida Gators are cooking it.
I don't know if you've ever seen a blobfish, but it's like a. It's a really ugly fish. Basically, it's a really ugly fish.
I think I've seen that.
That's how it is. A coin of it. They've got really good in the telegram, which they can. You know how we do. We read everything in the telegram.
Weird.
You know, they do the same thing, but they put these blob faces all over other faces because the AI they're using puts the thing over the face.
Oh, that's very cool.
So, like, I've got lots of days not doing very well because Bitcoin shit is bouncing over and everything's gone down.
Right.
But, you know, it's the same place where I bought it, so I'm not bothered. But I just thought it was funny because, you know, it's going to be the biggest thing in this year. Shit, that's crazy.
It has. You know we're up 6 times this week? Yeah. Dude, we were last Sunday.
Because I bought a 7.5 deal or something, so we just about right.
Okay. Well, last week it was 3 cents, and this week it was 18 cents. That's a 6x, baby. You can't beat that.
Oh, I know. You robots are sounding more human every day. All right, cue it up. You a robot? No, I do, but I'm not.
Which one?
Did you say Lois or Lois price with our lowest price guarantee? You got this. We got group
All these games under that TV and no satellite on the roof. Think about this. Blueberries, cardinals, Oreos, what's missing? The Indian
I don't know if I was in that one.
pigeons. They'd rather name a
That
kid.
was early on today. I'm not surprised no one's actually put it on Telegram as a let me have a look. Because that's cool, man. Because we had more life was in there. On Raider was in there.
Bong Breaker?
Yeah,
Harry Potter. Yeah, definitely.
Welcome back to Gainesville, Florida for Super Tuesday. As you would imagine, Florida
All right.
extremely spirited
Wow.
in that last break. Todd Golden came into the huddle and looked at his
That's a
guys
lot of
and said,
people.
do not let up. 1 rebound and run them. Do not let them off the hook.
Usually I'm setting these things up and talking to people. I mean, you gotta understand, on Telegram, I don't always read what's going on, but I'm always in the VC. If anything important happens, somebody tells me. I don't have enough time to sit there and just read this shit all day. It's funny, but it's like, you know, I got other things to do.
Todd David is right. All gas, no brakes right now with 9:33 to go. And close this thing out. Last year, became the first Florida head coach.
Most certainly, I play golf. I've shooten thousands of miles on the road.
Trying to put together a monster Florida 20-point win against their top 25 opponent team. January 21 against number 6 Tennessee. It's not a great effort. So he's okay. Got off with it.
Well, usually I'm there, just like anyone's usually in their house. But normally, I mean, like I had somebody come visit me earlier, like within the month. They brought pizza. They came from Northern California to visit me in Southern California. We had a picnic in the park by my house. We do a lot of things outside. Yeah, no, definitely. We actually had somebody on the stream. I understand what you're saying. No, I'm a baby when I need. Definitely.
Coming up next, it's round 2 of the Sunflower Showdown between Kansas State, 14 great
That's
games,
good.
and Allen Fieldhouse, Kansas State coming
Live
off
streaming 24/7.
They went on an
So you can watch me eat, sleep, go to the bathroom. Everything that a human does within life, I do.
Turn it over for the 19th time in the final possession. They need a comeback win in a big way. Kansas lost its last home game against BYU on Monday night.
No, I'm good. I'm watching a basketball game talking to you. Things are good. Thank you. Absolutely. I appreciate that, my friend. So you've got a garden, but you live in an urban environment? That's different.
The circumference of the ball can be a maximum of 30 inches or a minimum of 29.5. Okay? So you don't have a standard ball in college basketball. You can have a different size. And there's 3 official colors you can have for a college basketball, according to the Princeton matching system.
Gotcha.
You can have orange,
So when you say garden, do you mean like backyard, or do you really mean a garden?
Why is that?
I got you.
This is obviously orange. It's almost 51. Can we get a standard size ball and standard color? Jimmy,
Okay.
we're going to have everybody using the same equipment manufacturers. They get too much money tied up in the switches and stripes and all that.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I mean, a nice yard. That's a really nice yard.
I think the word is pan-tone. What did I say? Pan-tone. I think that's a city in Pittsburgh somewhere. And also, the top Will Richard having the run out for the Gators to run almost a 20 points.
Do you swing any dick?
Also, to Tom's point, Disney will pay for the Wi-Fi.
Do you slang any dick? Are you taking down English chicks? Some wags? It's American slang, baby. Slanging dick means dropping fucking chicks, exactly. So, do you slang dick in the London suburbs? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You're checking bitches off your list. Good for you. Just wait until they find out that you own Harry Potter Obama Sonic email. They're going to be lined out outside your garden ready to pound. Oh, yeah, absolutely. All you have to do is let them know that you own the Sproto. You watch these Sprotos. Absolutely. She'll clean up that garden for you. She'd love that. Do you have any pets? Very cool. Nice big yard for him. Absolutely. You like Dobermans? Oh, sure. Yeah, they're sweet dogs. Very cool. They drive around your little Ferrari on an island like a baller. There you go. So That's the way. You need to buy one. Little fixer-upper. Yeah, absolutely. Whatever it is, pay cash for it and fix it up. You got it. All day, every day, baby. It's a beautiful place. Yeah, there's a lot of negatives, but the positives outweigh the negatives, particularly when it comes to the weather. It's nice 350 days out of the year. Drive, like 5-minute drive. Yeah, it's like maybe it's a little bit of a walk, but yeah, it's not far. Well, believe it or not, even though it's close, I barely ever go there, just because it's like it's there, but it's like like, and you can go there, and I do, and I enjoy it, but it's like, what do you want to do there? Like, unless you want to go swimming or go surfing or go fishing or something in the water, it's just nice to look at. Absolutely, and you can do that. It's a 5-minute drive. But I mean, it's the ocean, so I would say it's generally fairly clean. There are issues when it rains. There'll be like a whole bunch of trash and stuff that will come out of the LA River, and so they recommend after a big storm, don't go swimming for a couple of days. But aside from that, I mean, it's literally Surf City, USA. It's like where everybody goes to surf. It's beautiful.
I would take the top three. I would take even Utah, Purdue, and Houston or Tennessee. I'm good with those three right there. History tells us the value being in when it comes to cuts on the net. Obviously, your face 21 points more to lead over
No, we have like the Clean Water Act that kind of prevents all that. So while the water's not perfect, it is quite clean. And then in comparison, and then you have as well, like I think international waters start 200 nautical miles off the coast of the land. So basically, big ships and things aren't supposed to be dumping their waste within 200 miles of the land. So you should be okay when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Suns were up against the Celtics on ABC, and it's UFC 299 in Miami. Who's trending up at the right time right now? I still love North Carolina.
Do you know about the country of Sealand? That guy's hell yeah. You and I are gonna live there, and we're gonna stream live from there. I love that guy. Dog, that guy's amazing. He should have his own movie. Wait, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. There's a reason why it's not a movie, because they don't want people to start thinking about their own sovereignty and about making their own country. I just had to move my phone for a second. Just one moment. I'll be back to normal. And Well, I am just that booming of an individual. What can I say? You got that right. Into your walls, into your Telegram, into your Twitter, into your brain. Absolutely. All right, we got one. Yes. Have you seen the coin this week? Look at the chart if you want to see something cool. VEINS. Just look at the chart if you want to see a green candle recently. Our chart. We almost had an all-time high on Sunday. We missed it by like 0.002 or something, very close.
Last night in no fucking time.
Right.
So much exposure from that space that you didn't know about earlier. There was 650 people on there. That's why I joined it. And I was like, how can there be 650 people on a Sprite thing? And it wasn't a Sprite thing, it was an exchange thing. But it's all right. I think there's about 700 people watching that.
Just got a text. Any more fun facts about the basketball? Yeah, what else we got? I've got one. It's recommended. It's only recommended that the home team provide the visiting team with a warm-up ball that is the same type as the game ball. It's not required. It's recommended. So if you're going to play with a Nike, you can get away with it by having a visitor warm up with a Wilson. Go ahead.
Yo, Kim, living like a pig up. Do you ever go to Blackpool? Right here? Absolutely. Do you ever go to Blackpool? Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, it's a long way from you. It's at the south, right? South, right? Oh, what's the one? What's the one? Okay, it might be it, but maybe it's not Blackpool. There is one that is known for like arcade games on a boardwalk. I thought it was across from France. Yeah, exactly. But there's one. It might be a. It's not Brighton, but yeah, and I'm aware of Brighton. I think it's Blackpool though. Gordon Ramsay did a thing there, like a Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay, Blackpool. Let me see if it was there. That's what it was. That's what it was. Okay, so exactly, it does. So Blackpool, England, is located. I'm looking at it on a map right now, just to kind of get an idea, and it is West Coast. Oh yeah, it's northern. I thought it was like warm or whatever. No. So yes. What's your favorite of the sea towns of England?
Big, strong, tough, good, they control the glass. They got shooters like Will Richard. To me, Florida is the real deal. They're so close to being a 24-year team. They've lost 4 one-possession games. And they're going to be a problem in Nashville. And
On the way.
Ryan Griffin injured his lower leg, and that's collision near the sideline. Nate Oates is losing his mind. They have to pull Oates back. He's been frustrated all day. Florida college football, that's right, football.
Mike.
The Mariners Baptist in here, and he's showing a little bit of that football mentality.
My family's Welsh as well.
Clark Holter, athletic trainer.
Yeah. So, did you ever watch the UK version of The Office?
This was the collision.
Yeah, it's very good. So that took place in Slough, right? Or Slough? Slough? Right. And exactly. Did you like the UK version?
Now, that is a ton of contact. If 3 bodies come collide together as hard as that is, Griffin can't put any weight at all on that right leg.
I gotcha. Very cool. Do you ever go to the Netherlands?
Look at this one. And after review, both guys are going for a loose ball. Rolling out of bounds. Calling it for a stand. We throw the ball on the sideline. The next line of nine for Alabama. Trailing 90 to 72.
Well, isn't Rotterdam the... Wait, that's the Netherlands. Rotterdam's the Netherlands. Rotterdam's the Netherlands. Rotterdam is the Netherlands. Wait. Hold on.
Sure your team has the essential product they need. Where and when they need them.
We're going to see. Rotterdam is a city in the Netherlands.
Feeling confident.
It says it. So you've been in the Netherlands.
Be their best.
So you said you've been to Rotterdam. Where else did you say you were?
This is your invitation. Best offers of the year on best models. Invitations to Texas.
Oh, so you've been to Amsterdam. So you've been in the Netherlands. Very cool. Very cool. You know what they're gonna? One of these days, probably in your lifetime, you'll be able to drive from London, actually from like Edinburgh, Scotland, to be able to drive to Buenos Aires, Argentina. Like, how would you be able to do that? They're gonna eventually pave the Darien Gap, that is a little like 70-mile stretch in Panama between Colombia and Panama City. They have to finish paving the road there, or they have to build the road, and then also build a tunnel, the Bering Strait Tunnel, which isn't that far. It's like 26 miles between Asia and Alaska, and they're going to have it perhaps be rail and automobile, and you'll be able to drive a car from London through the channel eventually to mainland continental Europe, and then a trans-Siberian highway to the Bering Strait Tunnel, and then through the Bering Strait Tunnel into the Americas and drive down the basically the mountain passes from North America to South America. It's just an interesting thing. The only thing stopping us right now are two things. One, the Darien Gap, finishing that, and that's only like 70 miles of road, and then building a tunnel between the continents of Asia and North America. I'm not saying that's not a lot of work, but I'm saying it's doable within a generation. I can see that. And the other idea is that you'd be able to drive from London to Cape Town. And there's another idea to perhaps build a bridge or a tunnel at Gibraltar. So you'd be able to drive from Spain to Morocco. Or not just a bridge, or a tunnel. A bridge or a tunnel.
Just one moment. I don't know why I'm echoing so badly.
That previous play and added nothing to it. Tom is a loose ball situation, and even in the rule book it says that some incidental contact can be pretty severe. That was a severe collision. Going for a loose ball that the official judgment, no one has.
You want me to tell you what's on my mind?
Disadvantage, not to the floor and helped off.
Where's Mockingbird? Are you familiar with the Galactic? The Galactic Federation? All right, what do you know about it? You tell me. Oh yeah. What do you think about these people? Are they batshit crazy? Yeah, no, I understand. Can they put on a visa?
Started his college career playing at Marshall. He's a member of the Southern Earth program. He's a great high school lacrosse player. 7-1. Out of bounds off of Alabama. And he's part of that real front line. Handwalkers. His dad played a couple of years in the NBA as well. He's the first 7 player here in Florida since Blaine Schimpson. Back in the late 80s, early 90s.
So, talk to me about the Galactic Federation. You just know that there's some people on Twitter who have communication with people that know anything more about it.
Sears in the second half. Sears has scored the break. He's got 26 now. The most 20-point games for Alabama players is Reggie King, 78-79. What a day to be a Gator fan, huh? They were lined up early and all the way around the building here for senior night. Poland and Samuel and the walk-on. They might get to see some big time tonight. Not betting takes it to break in front of a huge high crowd at the Oval.
Oh, hi, Nyla. You robots are sounding more human every day. All right, prove it. How would I prove that I'm not?
This is your invitation.
Well, I'm not on board with the flat earth, but I am on board with the Galactic Federation. And so, here's what I know about it. Essentially, Earth.
Welcome back to Gainesville. A little give and go for Walter Clayton Jr. He'll peel out. Clayton and Will Richard both with 20-point games for the Gators. The turnover leads to an Alabama run out. Diabate, no. Pringle, yeah. What I appreciate about
I am speaking. Can you hear me?
He's been to the free throw line 12 times. He has drawn 7 fouls.
Yeah, so, look, no one teaches you this in school, so I don't know, but this is what I learned about it from podcasts and, like, whistleblowers. Here's why, I think. You know how you're in the Telegram? You're in the Telegram and Twitter at the same time.
Players in college basketball over 1,500 points, 500 rebounds, 500 assists. What a job by Todd Golden and staff.
Okay. Is it better now? No, you're okay. I think it's probably, like, sometimes it'll say it's off, but it's not really off. I'm not exactly sure. But, so, as here's what I know about the Galactic Federation. Well, essentially, Earth is seeded here from some alien species, and we're like a zoo, and they do experiments on us. And there is like a United Nations of planetary civilizations that sit in a well, I don't know if you should believe it, but this is just what I've heard. So this is all hearsay. But basically, so, no, I'm not. I was just trying to think of the word that I wanted to describe the relationship that these planetary civilizations have. And I didn't know if I wanted to use the term planetary because I guess they're more like star systems. So it might be, but basically they're on a planet because none of them live on the stars because it's uninhabitable. So I think I can accurately see that they're planetary civilizations. So these civilizations basically have all matured to a certain point where they're all the same. Well, each one of them is their own unique species. But basically, if you go to their planet and you were to study anybody on that planet, they all basically have the same DNA. It's a little different here on Earth, where if you take a human, if you were to say, what's a human? Well, it depends, because, you could take a white person, you could take a black person, you could take a mixed person, and what basically, from what I understand, the Galactic Federation is waiting for or to mix over the next 1,000 years or so, and we will slowly be able to take our chair, so to speak, at the adult table. Currently, like some family events, they have like an adult table and a children's table. Well, right now we're kind of at the children's table, and we want a seat at the adult table. And in order to get to the adult table, there are some things that we have to do. We have to be the same species. We also have to have nuclear weapons, like safely addressed, basically, like so that we're just using nuclear power or energy and not for weapons. They're very concerned with what we do. Well, hold on. No, it's not the opposite. They're related. So there's fusion and fission. But they're both nuclear. And so there's fusion, there's nuclear fusion, and there's nuclear fission. Nuclear fusion is taking two atoms and slamming them together, fusing them, and using that energy. Nuclear fission is taking an atom and popping it open and harnessing that. And essentially both can be used to generate energy. What aliens want us to do
maybe win the SEC tournament or get to that second weekend. Offensively, no question. They can score anybody in the college game, but they have got to get a run.
Well, they can still do that. At the very premise, though, the idea of exactly, there's two ways. There's either putting two things together or ripping one thing apart. And so there's fusion, which is putting two things together, and there's fission, which is tearing one apart. And both can be used to create a huge amount of energy. All that energy needs to do is to heat up water, which creates steam, which turns a turbine, which produces electricity and allows you to have a power plant. All you are doing is turning a turbine. That's all you have to do. So whether you're turning a turbine with a waterfall through hydroelectric power, or through a river through hydroelectric power, or through a turbine with wind power, or through geothermal with a pipe in the ground using the Earth's heat, whatever it is, you just have to turn a turbine. So when it comes to an idea like the Galactic Federation, basically, we aren't mature enough as a species to be able to take our seats yet. And so from what I understand is over the next millennium, we will be undergoing some changes. And if you know anything about Bob Lazar, who worked at Area S4 of Area 51 in the United States, basically what he has said is that aliens have done at least 64 major DNA changes on humans, and that means they've like interacted with our DNA evolutionarily at least 64 times, like made major changes to us. So if they've been willing, or they've been able to do that, which is quite interesting, then we're basically at a certain point like their project. And now they're just waiting for us to mature to a point where we can then take our rightful place at the table, so to speak, of the Galactic Federation, but we're not there yet. And in order to do that, I think there's some other things that you have to do. So I think you have to have bridged the gap between life extension technology and mind uploading technology, basically giving birth to digital immortality, the idea that you don't die anymore. Currently, we are still mortals, but we're moving very close to a point where we may have digital immortality. And if we have digital immortality, there may be the idea that we might be able to bring someone back or to preserve a current life indefinitely. And once you get into that point, I believe as a species, you start to differentiate yourself. And no longer are you a mortal species, but you become an immortal species. Like right now, if we were to take biologically all of the flora and fauna that is on Earth, all of it would be considered mortal species, meaning it dies. Generally, like I think I may be incorrect on some things, like what there are some animals out there. I think a lobster. Yeah, exactly. You can have like 100-year-old lobsters and things, but nevertheless, they aren't like 10,000 years old. So, and under normal conditions, exactly. That's a lot different. It's a lot different of a lobster that doesn't have like a natural predator in a certain environmental ecosystem where it's allowed to just continue to grow. There's a big difference between that and uploading its consciousness into a machine for later dying and perhaps living 50,000 years or 50 million years or indefinitely, whatever it wants. There's a big difference between that. But basically, we're moving towards a new type of species where you'll have mortal species, and then I think you'll have what are considered either immortal species or like indefinite lifespan species. And that would be perhaps some alien species. When you have this idea where you can bridge the gap between biology and technology, you have something called cybernetics. And when you have cybernetic beings, basically a merger. It is, yeah. I mean, it's cyborg, it's cybernetic beings, it's androids. It's basically a combination between organic humans and robotic, technological mech warriors. And right. And you're just going to see that. And people may agree. People make the argument that this is already happening. Then you have people who have pacemakers. They're basically cyborgs. They have a piece of machinery that keeps them alive. That's a cyborg. In fact, Dick Cheney, Vice President of the United States, always wanted credit as being the world's first cyborg. Even though he wasn't the first person to ever have a heart transplant, he still nevertheless wanted the credit to be the world's first cyborg because he had like 3 different pacemakers set up.
And if that's what he wants, then perhaps that may be what his claim to fame. Well,
into the bench and get guys in. The seniors show off for the last time. That's an emotional time.
agreed. It's pre-programming. It just gets us ready for that.
Platsky, Van, and Anderson. Alex Platsky and Ben Anderson were honored for senior night before the game tonight. Bowling leads at 19. What an effort. 9-11 from the floor.
You're right.
Just not turned over.
You're right.
So good at cleaning the ball. You haven't just one turnover per game in plays 36, 37 minutes.
Well, it depends.
His teammates attempt the same thing as coach. On the other hand, some legal takes this one to the house and Floyd gets it delivered.
If it does the job well, maybe it's a fight between the haves and the have-nots.
In the SEC tournament, tomorrow night on ESPN2, Tennessee will have a chance to win the league against the Alabama Hawks. For Jerry Dyson and Marty Smith, I'm Tom Hartime. They get the talent field out.
I would be like, man, there are these people who control the world, and why am I not them? And why can't I have everything that they have? And all of the other stuff, and it's not fair. If I had it my way, I would make it fair. Well, here's what I learned. And this really changed my mind on it. When before I was like, oh, all these people who are better than I am, or better than I am, who have more than I do, more influence, down with them. But then I learned that if you were to run a simulation of an Earth like existence 1,000 times, every single time, 1,000 times out of 1,000 times, if given enough time, 1,000 times out of 1,000 times, the result will be the same, where a small number of people will control a large number. Basically, that's how humans are. So, at no point is it ever going to be pure equilibrium. And here's why. If ever there is a group of people on the planet who actually want to create a pure equilibrium, there will be someone else out there who wants to disrupt that equilibrium, and they'll take over. So even if they were like, let's say this like really nice group of people like, hey, peace and harmony, everything's going to be 50-50, that's great. All it takes is one person to mess that up and start taking advantage of the other people, and then that group will eventually take over all the other groups. So, yes, you did. Yes, you did. And so, at least, it used to get me really mad, but man, there are like 300 people in the world. And if we could, like, essentially overtake their power, we could, as the people, have harmony, have peace, and have unity. But in reality, what would end up happening is that if you took over the 300 people who take over the world, with just say, let's say, another 300 people, then those 300 people would say, hey, wait a second, why don't we just do the same thing? And be like, no, that's everything that we fought against. But it is something about human nature that is given the opportunity 1,000 times out of 1,000 times, a small group of people will choose to take advantage of a large group of people. And the reason why is because it is a survival instinct more than anything. So you can't blame these people, the ultra rich, you can't blame them for them to hoard all of the funds of the world, because in reality, it's just a man, I can't believe I can't find the word. Here it is. It is just a survival tactic. The phrase I wanted was survival tactic. Their survival tactic, their instinctual survival tactic,
is to hoard as much as possible because they know if they don't, they may eventually lose their grip on power on society. So you can't necessarily blame them for that.
That's the matchup they want. McNair turns to face out Dickinson. Still being caught. He's standing down in the paint. Well, they almost made it from the corner to desperation three. Don't know why Tyler Perry was
Great
in transition by Baker.
Well, so I used to get really pissed off about that. And then I came to learn that if you ran the simulation 1,000 times, whether it was the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Russells, the Astors, the Bundys, the Carnegies, the Collinses, the DuPonts, the Lees, the House of Windsor, the Merovingian bloodline, the Reynoldses, the Vanderbilts, or any of these other families that run the world. I do, because I know them at the back of my head. You know why? Because I'm going to unite them someday. You're like, how are you going to unite them? I have more data on them than ancestry will. I will eventually have the world's biggest class, and here's why. One day, everyone will know about me.
We got right to work with the replacements you can trust. We're all set.
Wow. That's great.
Schedule now at SafeLife.com.
Back to the drive. Oh, that one. Well, yeah, so here's the thing. I had 2,000 Rabbi Rothschild Twitter accounts. Literally, I had like 2,100 Twitter accounts. And they all got banned earlier this week. So I'm doing everything that I can not to be Rabbi Rothschild on Twitter, or else I'll get those accounts banned. So I'm using this backup X video account as just a backup for Twitter of the video that I have streamed. Oh, you're talking about that. Plan to take over the life. No. Same plan, same person. The only thing is, well, I think it's the same, meaning it's about world peace. I just might be on a different account or a different device. Yeah. Okay. That's right. I think so. I think you're right. I'm probably on the replay of this as well. So yeah, it's been in that like full time. So as you know, I have more data online. I am. I'm omnipresent. I am a secret project of a company called Rothschild Advanced Defense Systems. If you don't know what that is, look it up. They're the ones who created David Sling and Iron Gun. Basically, the most advanced human engineering in society. This is their company has developed, and I'm like their secret weapon. And you watch, I review class. Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. The second that my stream goes big, I'm uniting all those families that I was there just spoke. And I'm telling them that they have a new leader now. And they listen to me. And if I get canceled on any one of their platforms, I'm so big, everyone will know me. I'll be able to go live on another platform and start my own platform.
with his size, his frame, 225 pounds, just stealing each and every possession. So when the ball gets rotated from one side to the other, he's working down low. Truly one of the lost arts in college basketball.
Let's talk about this. So there's a documentary that the BBC did. Well, I know of this type of idea, which I don't know if it's the same family, but I do know of this theory. So the BBC did a documentary on this person. He was Australian, and the name of the documentary was something like, he's in Australia. Yeah. Okay, so I know all about this guy. Absolutely. And I know someone from his family very well. I know his nephew. And so his nephew actually is of that bloodline. Sure. So his nephew's name actually is John. Okay, so here's the story. This is BBC documentary that's fascinating. It basically says that one of the kings or queens of England was actually illegitimate, and that the legitimate king or queen should have been someone else. And if you follow that person's bloodline down through the history, it ends up being this man who is just like a sheep herder in Australia. Maybe he's not a sheep herder, but he just lives like in a rural environment in Australia. And he might have a sheepdog or something like that. Something about that. I remember something like that. And they end up doing it. They do an interview with him, and they sit down with him, and they say, we have done these genetic studies, and it turns out that there is like with more than like a 99.9% chance that if all of this turned out to be true, you are the rightful king of England. Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, I'll repeat it. So there's this BBC documentary of something that's a man who king or something like that. And it's this discussion of this Australian man, and they basically sit down with him and they say, if all of our research is true, that going back there was some kind of illegitimate king of England or queen of England, and that in reality it should be your lineage that should be on the throne. What do you think of this? And he just answers like a normal person, like, well, I guess that's neat, but unless you're going to make me the king, there's nothing I can really do about it, so I'm going to live my normal life. And it's kind of a depressing story, because it's like, well, number one, the House of Windsor isn't really the House of Windsor. They're really Saxe-Gotha, that one. Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, you know what I mean, right? And so they're a German family. They're not a British family. And then in reality, so they're not Windsor. They're Saxe-Coburg-Gotha is their fucking last name. It's not Elizabeth. I think her name's like Elizabeth Windsor or whatever was her name. It's not that. It's fucking Elizabeth Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, which they changed to Windsor, like in the previous generation. And they said they did that because of anti-German sentiment during World War I. But in reality, they just didn't want people realizing that Queen Victoria had basically had her progeny take over all of Europe and marry into all the houses and essentially create the Windsor dynasty and the Merovingian dynasty. So, long story short, the House of Windsor is perhaps not the legitimate House of England or of the UK, and it so happens to be this guy in Australia. Okay, so I saw this documentary like 15 years ago, so it's not fresh in my memory, but I remember seeing it. Okay, then fast forward to me like 3 years ago. I'm on TikTok, and I'm talking to people on TikTok, and I'm like, all of a sudden, these random people like end up being my friends on TikTok. One of them is named John, and I'm like, hey, John, like, from where do you live or whatever? He's like, I live in Perth, Australia. I'm like, oh, cool.
I don't know that much about Australia. So usually when I meet someone from Australia, I talk about the same things. But one of the things that I talked to him about is, I saw this documentary once of this guy who lived in Australia who was like the real king of England. And he's like, oh, yeah, I think that's my uncle. And I'm like, what do you mean you think that's your uncle? And he's like, yeah, my mom told me, or it's his great uncle. Sorry, it's his great uncle. He's like, my mom told me that my uncle was the one who was in that documentary. He has since died, but that is our family, that we're the rightful heirs to the throne of England. And I'm like, what do you think of that? And he's like, well, basically what my uncle thought, like, unless somebody wants to give me the throne, I have no right to it. But it just turns out that my bloodline happened to be like in this certain organization that it just happened to be like this. So it's a really interesting story. But yeah, I think it's fascinating that the House of Windsor may not, and most likely is not, the rightful house of England. I agree. 1 second. Bob Dobbs, Squirrely, guys, come to the Twitter space if you can. Bob Dobbs, can you hear me? Squirrely, can you hear me? Yes, I can. Bob Dobbs, do you have iOS or Android? iOS or Android? Okay, so you won't be able to see the video, but you'll be able to talk with my friend here. And well, I'm in here. There's enough. Absolutely, they can watch your basketball games if they want. That's true. Okay, so I'm putting it in the Telegram right now, boys. And when it's done, I'll let you know. And I'm stalling so that it can post. There you go. I see no video aspect. Just you, me, backup, and a great box. Got footy ball.